Welcome to my Sword Hunter guide. In this guide, I will cover the core skills of Hunter and in-depth sword gameplay. If you plan on using only one weapon, Sword is the best and most versatile choice for Hunter, although it's still recommended to multi-weapon a sword with one of the other Hunter weapons because they can fill some of Sword's weaknesses. But Wire and Spear need Sword a lot more than Sword needs them. If you're interested in learning the other Hunter weapons as well, I will link a guide for them in the video description. But this guide will focus only on Sword so you don't get overwhelmed with everything at once. Anyway, let's start with the guide. Hunter skills. Let's start with the most important skill, Hunter Arts Avenger. This is the first skill you always take as Hunter, regardless of the weapon you use. What this skill does, basically, is that when you release a Photon art, or PA for short, within a short window of an incoming enemy hit, you will get 50% more damage on your PA. This is the main counter playstyle of all Hunter weapons, and you need to get used to it. The Avenger counter window is very forgiving, 0.4 seconds. This means that if you release a PA within 0.4 seconds of an incoming hit, you will get the Avenger bonus. How you notice the Avenger bonus? Well, you get a red aura on your character when it procs, and hear a parry sound, as you can see in the following clip. Still with me? I hope so, because now we move on to the next skill. After taking Hunter Arts Avenger, you need to improve it with Hunter Arts Perfect Parry, so you actually negate the enemy attack that you parried, otherwise you will still take damage from it and we don't want that. However, note that the timing window is different than the one for Avenger. While Avenger is very forgiving at 0.4 seconds, Perfect Parry is more strict and only happens within 0.25 seconds. Yes, this means that if you don't time it good enough, even if you get Avenger bonus, there is a possibility that you still take damage from the attack. The next skill you take is Hunter Arts Parry Advanced. This skill gives you immunity during the whole Photon art animation instead of just one hit that you parried for Avenger. It is very important since Hunter Photon arts can be quite long, and you can take damage and die during them from fast attacking bosses without this skill. However, the immunity is only granted if you land a perfect parry. That 0.25 seconds parry window explained earlier. Hunter Arts Avenger PP gain is also very important for your PP economy. This skill gives you 10 PP on every successful Avenger. Now, let's talk about some sword-specific skills. Sword Attack Extra unlocks 5th normal attack on sword. While the first 4 are very weak, 5th hit actually hits hard, 500 potency, and it is a decent DPS option, especially since it also gives PP instead of consuming it. But we still need to go through the first 4 very weak normal attacks to get to it, right? So it's still garbage. Well, that's where the next 2 skills come in. Same art skip attack and another art skip attack. These 2 skills let you skip to the 3rd or 4th normal attack if you do 2 consecutive Photon arts. The former lets you skip to the 3rd attack if you do same PA twice in a row, while the latter lets you skip to the 4th normal attack if you do 2 different Photon arts consecutively. Yes, this one is obviously a better skip, but alternating Photon arts is not always an option. Sword Guard Counter. This skill lets you perform an auto attack upon a successful parry with sword weapon action. A successful parry only happens within the first 0.35 seconds of a sword weapon action. You can keep the block for longer, but the parry won't happen, and you will just block the hit but also take a bit of damage from it, and it will eat your PP every hit you block. Notice how you still take damage without a parry, but it's greatly reduced. The damage of this counterattack is very low, only 200 potency, so you should only take this if you plan to take the next skill too, Sword Guard Counter Plus. This is an extension of the previous one. It allows you to do a normal 5 with boosted damage if you press your normal attack button after an automatic sword guard counter from previous skill. This counterattack has 630 potency, which is very good DPS for only taking 1.17 seconds. But because of the previous auto guard attack with trash DPS, sword guard counters even with this skill are rarely used if you aim for doing as much DPS as possible. With that said, this counter has its uses in certain situations. It also gives full invincibility during the animation, making it the safest decent DPS option you can get. Remember that perfect Avenger parry is only 0.25 seconds window, while a weapon action parry is 0.35. That is considerably more forgiving. If you are in a situation where you need to play it safe and value survival over DPS, then parrying with sword weapon action and guard counter plus is probably a better option than trying to Avenger. Sword Art's Overcharge. Very important skill in some situations where the boss's attack very slow. This skill gives you the ability to get double damage bonus when you overcharge any sword photon art, except Caliber Streak, for at least 3 seconds. It also stacks with Avenger bonus, leading to a total of triple damage of a normal charged PA if you manage to land an overcharged Avenger photon art. Do note, however, that it only boosts damage and not stuff like down rate or photon blast gauge generation. So if causing a down faster is your goal, you should avoid overcharging in that situation and spam photon arts more often instead. Sword Art's Charge Avenger. Also known as the Auto Avenger, it makes the game automatically unleash any sword photon art except Caliber Streak with Avenger bonus applied to it, if it was charged for at least 1.5 seconds and you received a hit. This is what makes Sword incredibly easy to play casually, but if all you do is spam Auto Avengers, you will do terrible DPS because optimally, you will want to Avenger as often as possible. So after 0.7 seconds of starting a PA, which is the normal sword photon art charge time, and not after 1.5 seconds. In theory, you don't even need this skill if you are good enough. But nobody is perfect, so this skill is still nice to take if you have a point. It's also really helpful when you are surrounded by a lot of enemies and want to Avenger, since it can be hard to see all the enemy attacks in this case. Be warned though that the skill can be a detriment in rare cases, where you want to overcharge and face tank a small hit you are about to take. Well, with this skill you will automatically unleash the PA, so it will ruin your plans in this situation. By the way, there is a visual indicator and an audio cue for all 3 charge states: regular charge, auto Avenger, and overcharge. These come, as you probably know by now, after 0.7 seconds, 1.5 seconds, and 3 seconds respectively, from the moment you start charging a photon art. Sword Attack Alternation. The most important sword-specific skill in the tree. It turns your next normal attack after an Avenger into a fast, powerful 480 potency move that takes less than a second. This gives it really good DPS, and it also restores your PP. It also has full immunity during the animation. Basically, it's like getting a free step counter after an Avenger. Even better is the fact that you don't have to use it right away. It's actually going to be kept ready for an indefinite amount of time until you use it. On top of it, it will count as a normal attack in a combo, allowing you to do skip art combos with only good DPS moves. For example, you can do PA1, PA2, alternation 5th normal, provided that at least one of the photon arts had Avenger applied. Slow Landing Charge Hunter. In 99% of cases, this skill is really nice to have. It makes you fall very slowly while charging a PA in midair. There are very few niche situations where you would want this off, such as abusing encore jump spam. However, I do not recommend playing without this unless you have at least 2 skill pages, where one of them has this skill and one doesn't, in which case you can swap between them whenever you want. This option is a problem for some players because to add a skill tree it costs 500 AC, and not everyone is willing to spend. If you only have one skill tree, just take the skill or you will suffer in a lot of aerial fights. unidirectional guard. This is only for sword, as the other two weapons already guard in a 360-degree angle. This makes it so you can also guard from all angles with sword, instead of only frontal attacks. Not amazing, but it's only 1 point. Iron Will is a hunter main class passive. What this does is that when you receive a hit that would otherwise kill you, you're left with 1 health point and granted 10-second invulnerability. However, the skill also goes on a 3-minute cooldown. Just like with the Sword Auto Avenger skill, this skill is not needed in theory. But everyone does mistakes and dies once in a while, so it's still a nice skill to have. Just be warned that during the immunity from the skill, you cannot Avenger parry or guard counter any enemy attacks, so you lose out on DPS. You can still step counter though. It's not the best counter option for Hunter, but better than nothing. Flash Guard, just a damage reduction passive. Put spare points in it. Hunter Physique, an active skill that reduces incoming damage drastically for a limited time when activated, and also prevents you from being knocked back or staggered, but it also has a very long cooldown. You can reduce the cooldown with Hunter Physique Short Cycle, but this also reduces the effect's duration. Hunter Physique Extra Shield is applied when an activated Hunter Physique effect runs out and goes on cooldown. It gives you a damage reduction shield while you are charging a Photon art or during a PA animation. This shield's damage reduction is not as strong as Hunter Physique, but it still gives the knockback immunity. This shield also lasts forever, but can only absorb 3 hits until it's gone. You can refresh the shield and its hit count by using another Hunter Physique. I recommend Hunter Physique Short Cycle at 2 or 3, maybe 4 if you really want and get hit a lot, but I really don't recommend it at 5 because it will make the regular Hunter Physique last only 5 seconds, and that's too low to make it useful. Warcry. Kinda funny I left this for last when it's supposed to be a core skill for the Hunter class, but it's so unimpressive that it's optional to even take. Warcry aggroes all the enemies around you upon activation, as long as they weren't hit by someone else, and gives you aggro generation boost on your attacks for 30 seconds. Since it has only 30 seconds cooldown, you can have this boost permanently. Unfortunately, it's not that impressive. The aggro system in this game is not that simple, and many times the bosses still go for others and ignore your threat level. Depends on the boss, but overall you can live without this skill. Get it if you have spare points though. Sometimes it can help. If you are curious, here is how my skill tree is set up. Do note, though, that I play sword multi-weapon with wire, so I also put points in the wire skills. Sword Photon Arts. Sword has 4 Photon Arts: Spiral Edge, Relentless Cleave, Twisting Zapper, and Caliber Streak. The first 3 all charge to full in 0.7 seconds, and you can freely charge past that point. However, you don't get any additional damage after that, with the exception of the overcharge skill explained before. Caliber Streak, on the other hand, has a fixed charge time of 1.8 seconds, and you can't hold it charging for longer. Now let's see each PA in detail, one at a time. Spiral Edge. You swing the sword in an upward slash. This is the least used sword PA. It's not like it's terrible, but Relentless Cleave is just better, with higher AoE and damage. The only times you use Spiral is if you need this specific upwards movement or its small hitbox, or if you need to alternate it for skip arts. Relentless Cleave. This is your main DPS PA. It has good range and damage. It's a bit annoying in aerial fights because it shifts you down, but that's where you will sometimes alternate it with Spiral Edge. Uncharged version does lowest damage, but it's also super quick. Twisting Zapper. This is your main AoE PA, but it also has the highest damage of regular PAs, not counting Caliber. It's really good because it has a huge hitbox and moves you around. It's perfect to chase some annoying big bosses that move a lot, and you can't hit them with other PAs, such as Doldoris. Uncharged version does the highest damage of uncharged PAs by far, and it's quite good for situations where you don't have time to charge. While charged version does more damage than Relentless Cleave, the animation is so long that the DPS is the lowest of all PAs by far. So be careful not to miss a counter due to how long it takes. If you do, you might reconsider using something else instead. Overcharging this is a good idea many times, because that's the highest damage you can get in one PA, especially if you Avenger it. Caliber Streak, the most unique sword PA. Unlike the others, you cannot freely charge this how much you want. It has a fixed charge time of 1.8 seconds, and it will automatically go off charged after that. This of course means there's no way to overcharge this. This PA also has a combo of 3 hits that you can use one after another, the third one being a bit stronger than the others. Only the first caliber attack in a combo will use the 35 PB. Charge Caliber Streak has better DPS than every other sword PA, but it's also very hard to get Avenger on it since the incoming hit must be exactly within 1.8 seconds of you starting to charge it. This results in this PA being mostly used on downs or long periods of enemies not attacking. You can alternate uncharged or charged without breaking the combo. However, the uncharged version is really weak, and I don't recommend doing it unless you want to skip to the attacks further in the combo. For example, some downs are not long enough to fit all 3 charged Caliber Streak combos, so you could do something like uncharge Caliber 1, then charge the other 2. Also, skip arts applies to each caliber attack in the combo, meaning that if you do 2 or 3 caliber attacks, whether charged or uncharged, you will trigger the same art skip attack and skip to third normal, as if you used a PA twice in a row. I added alternation to this PA sheet so you can easily compare the DPS of it with the Photon arts. As you can see, its DPS is on par with Avengered PAs, making it a viable choice to just use it right away most of the time. Most of the time, but not always. Because DPS is not everything. Thinking of only DPS is flawed for Hunter. It is important to know every PA's total potency, both charged and uncharged, not just DPS, because Hunter is all about fitting as much damage as you can with Avengers between enemy attacks. While Charged Relentless Cleave is your most commonly used PA, the uncharged version has the lowest potency. Even though it's fast and useful in some cases, you might consider using Uncharged Spiral Edge or Twisting Zapper in some situations due to more total potency. For example, if a boss is about to hit you right now and you don't have time to charge, and the next boss attack comes about 2 seconds later, then your best option is Uncharged Spiral into Sword Alternation, so you are in time for another counter. Here's an example of this combo. If the next boss attack came a bit faster though, like say 1.7 seconds, then you won't have time with that combo and have to use Uncharged Relentless Cleave into Alternation instead. This is what I mean. It's not all about DPS for Hunter, but rather what you can fit in a combo. Of course, it's still always best to charge your Photon arts, but you don't always have the time to do it. That's all for this guide. I hope it was useful to you and thank you for watching. If you are interested in some endgame Swordwire gameplay, I have some videos on my channel, and hopefully more to come in the future. Or maybe I might try Partisan? Who knows? It depends how many changes Ultra Evolution brings next month. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoy my content. Bye now!